The Adam Project is Ryan Reynolds got a big old paycheck from Netflix and an interesting elevator pitch. What if we had Ryan Reynolds go back in time to his 10-year-old, 12-year-old self to save the world? I mean, sign me up. On paper, this sounds great. And that's basically the story. There's a dead dad. The Hulk is the dead dad.
It's going to be a problem, by the way, like MCU actors playing other roles in the same film together is getting confusing because now we're like Gamora and the Hulk and Deadpool all show up in a movie together.
But we can't talk about it.
Well, we can, but they probably can't or shouldn't. Yeah. Although I don't know. I think Ryan Reynolds. I don't know if you're paying any attention to the fact that his studio, Maximum Effort, is advertising the film as well, of course, and they've already done some. I'm sure that he's going to do some Hulk and Deadpool content to promote the film.
Yeah, but a little more serious. More of the synopsis. If you couldn't tell, I'm being pretty sarcastic. Spoiler alert: I hated this movie, but the synopsis is basically we start the movie with Ryan Reynolds escaping in a jet in 2050, and at that point they've invented time travel, and he was able to jump back to 2022, where he went to visit his 12-year-old self, who we had learned by this point that his father has died and is just kind of lost adrift, getting picked on by bullies. He's smaller than everyone else. And so they meet up and, hilarity, quote unquote, ensues. I mean, growing from a little scrawny little kid to Ryan Reynolds, I don't know, it doesn't really track for me. But anyways, they figure out that they need to...
It's aspirational, Paul.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything
right. An HGH. So they figure out that their father, who has died in 2018, was the godfather of time travel. So then they had to make a jump back to 2018, the good old days, and talk to Mark Ruffalo, who is their dad, who also, none of this makes sense. Like, it just, biologically speaking, Mark Ruffalo, Jennifer Garner, ending up with Ryan Reynolds. None of this makes sense. I don't know. But, and basically what they figure out is
you're choosing not to suspend disbelief on weird stuff in this.
Because it gave me a lot of time to think about the weird stuff because there was nothing else to it. But they basically figure out that the business partner of Mark Ruffalo is evil, and she's a big bad business lady, and she is taken over, and she's not giving the government the technology, and she's just gonna do evil things, and the environment is dying and dead, and I
think if you can't guess that Catherine Keener is gonna be evil in a movie at this point, you've probably not been paying very much attention. I feel like she's now typecast herself as like evil business lady. But look, I disagree on your overall take. I thought the movie was pretty fun and enjoyed the movie a great deal, and thought it was like, honestly, like a pretty entertaining time in general. I thought, like, overall the plot, the character interaction, all that stuff worked for me. I thought like most of that worked pretty well. I don't really have a big problem with that. The story doesn't make any sense. And honestly, like, if the thing that would annoy me more than probably most of the stuff that probably annoyed you is the idea that time travel, like the genie cannot be put back in the bottle. Like, they literally use that line, like Ryan Reynolds says, we're going to put the genie back in the bottle. You can't. If you invent a piece of technology, I always think that this is funny, by the way, the idea that you blow up the machine and then that's the end of it, as if the important thing was the physical machine and not the ideas that made the machine possible. The ideas exist. And yeah, it's on a hard drive or whatever. But I mean, like, if it can be done, it can be done. there are certainly other people out there who are going to figure it out. Like once that's the case. So I never find that to be very believable. And in particular, I think that the whole idea of like, we have to uninvent a tool because it gets used badly is it's like a poor answer to a misused tool, I feel like. But so that maybe annoys me more than anything. The bad business trope is par for the course at this point. Like, I mean, every movie you will ever find at this point. I mean, I've been rewatching, sorry, this is totally a tangent. I've been rewatching Rebels, Star Wars Rebels sort of slowly, just because my wife has never seen it before. And I think I mentioned this on the last podcast. I've been listening to the Thrawn trilogy, the Star Wars extended universe stuff. And it's not personal, it's just business comes up in Star Wars Rebels multiple times. Like, this is just such an overused trope at this point. But Daphne, what was your take on the Adam Project since you watched it?
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with Paul, like yourself, Sean. I mean, I agree with you, Sean, but I disagree with Paul because seriously, I feel like this movie is a nice movie to watch, like for a family fun moment. You just want to watch something on a Saturday night or on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon. You just watch it, and it's a cool movie to watch. It was kind of boring, but it was cool to watch. It was not one of those movies, I will say, it was not one of those movies where you have like a great cast and then it's a horrible movie. Like oh, I forgot the name with the Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Garner.
Jennifer Garner.
Oh, are you talking about the?
No, Jennifer Lawrence.
Well, wait. You're talking about which?
That was out a couple of weeks ago. The most watched Netflix movie of all time. I literally forgot the name.
Oh, Don't Look Up, for example. Don't Look Up is probably the one.
Yeah, that's
where
it.
It's got like an enormous, like a huge cast, like ultra famous cast, and
yeah, exactly. But I think this was not one of those movies. I think like you have great,
I agree,
great artists: Jennifer Garner, Zoe Saldana, Mark Ruffalo, Ryan Reynolds, and I think the movie is fair enough. And the story is a nice story. Maybe it was a little cheesy sometimes.
Yeah,
but it was cool.
I think
I have nothing
in general, I feel
cheesy.
like this story. Yeah, I feel like in general the story is like relatively sweet, and I liked a lot of aspects of it.
What was sweet about it? What was sweet about it? There was throwaways. There was nothing sweet about it.
Okay,
Mark Ruffalo he was a bad dad, but he played catch. No, he's bad.
He did play catch, Paul.
Then that meant nothing to me.
Playing catch with your boy is the universal good dad symbol. You have to accept it as it is. No, look, in general, I think, but I'm not defending the movie on the basis of like, this is the greatest movie of all time. But what I'm saying is that like, as far as being, and I think Daphne actually sort of put it in a way that I would probably put it, which is like, this is pretty rewatchable for me. Like I could watch this again and like put it on and enjoy what was happening, and it would be fine. And I would not have any major problems with it. And the other thing I would point out, so I'm going to reference Dan Murrell for a minute. I don't know if you guys know who Dan Murrell is. Dan used to be on Screen Junkies movie fights, and then he eventually split off and started his own channel and whatnot. And Dan called this an actual 4-quadrant movie, which I think is true. So for those who are not familiar with the term, 4-quadrant movie refers to a movie that would be okay to watch not okay, but like something that people who are young, old, male, and female could all watch together and have a decent time. I think this is generally true. Now, Paul, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's like it's too dumb for a 14-year-old. I don't think so. I think this would be. I think this would be fun.
This is rare for me. I rarely find myself thinking that looking at the net, because now on Netflix you have the option when you're on a phone, you could watch stuff in double speed, and you could speed it up. I was watching on my Apple TV, and this is the first time I've ever tried to get that option, and I couldn't find it on Apple TV. So I sat through the full thing. But my gosh, I hope we invent time travel so I can go back in time and tell myself not to watch this movie.
All right, so it was kind of boring. Like I agree with you. It was kind of like boring because like it was very predictable. Instead of boring, I will say predictable. It's a better adjective.
For sure.
Yeah, so that's like maybe it gives you a feeling like it's a slow movie, but overall it's a nice movie, and it is a sweet movie. Like I like taking notes, so I literally wrote down one sweet moment when like older guy, middle-aged guy is talking to his 12-year-old self, and like the little kid is telling him like he should stop blaming his dad for being dead. He loved him. His dad was a good person with him as a kid, so he shouldn't feel angry about that. And he said one quote that I think it was very sweet, and at the same time it could teach you some lessons on the world that we're seeing today. And it is easier to be angry than to be sad, right? Because his whole issue was that his middle-aged self was an angry person, so he decided to do a lot of things based on anger. So when you accept sadness, you allow yourself to be sad, and then you can evolve the situation, right? But it's easier to be angry than sad. And it reminded me a lot of like political discussions today are usually because it's easier to be angry than to be sad about the way society has gone, or about where the political debate has gone, or about where the world has gone. Like, it is easier to be angry about the war than to be sad about the war. Like, most people are out there trying to find guilty people about the war, and when you're angry and when you're trying to find guilty people, that's what happens. You lock yourself up and you are not able to solve situations.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely agree. I think where this movie lost me, though, is that it didn't show me how Ryan Reynolds got so jaded. Because the 12-year-old kid is the one that's saying that, like, dropping that knowledge, which, yeah, definitely true. But it never, like, he kind of hints at things got worse. But the dude's a fighter pilot jumping through time, and it just all the premise and stuff made sense, and I was on board. But it just the execution was just lacking.